Hello dear chess friends, I'm International Master Andrei Mostrovski and you're welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night Banter Blitz with me. Many guys asked me what is the meaning of the banter, so you know what does it mean actually, but I do not want to actually tell you something teasing. So it's not my style. What I like to focus on is actually the meaning of moves, right? To present you some plans. Well, actually to give you some information, useful information, to help you guys to become a bit better at chess, maybe. So let's start with some chats because I already have some challenges. So let's cut out the bullshit and focus on playing. Okay. So the first challenge from Don G. Accept. Okay. And I play with white. Okay. Knight f3, so here we have Rui Lopez. Yeah. That's why Hozek says, so Master O has visited the hairdresser. Well, everything is easier. I actually do all this stuff at home. Okay, bishop takes c6. So takes c6, castles, and we have exchanged variation. Bishop d6. Okay, probably one of possible moves, but I think that's not the best one. So f6 was possible, bishop to g4. So how can I use the bishop on d6? Maybe I can play d4 or something. Takes d4, e5. Well, looks not very promising. Or maybe just continue with a normal play like, I don't know, d3, knight d2, knight c4. Or maybe even c3 and d4. Nothing really stops me from playing c3 and d4. I don't know, let's try d4. Looks interesting. Miktal asks, what has happened with the wall? Has become green. Yeah, that's true. So it's now green. So, I mean, in the reality, it is also green. Let's take with the queen. That's why Hozek says I would have chosen blue. So actually, I have blue already. And the only problem in that room, the echo effect is very strong. So we have to wait a bit, right? So in the future, I will make a transition to that room. And yeah, it will be blue. Miktam says green makes me aggressive. Okay, maybe this will help you to beat me. Finally. Come on. Okay, f6 now. So how to deal with this? Just to prevent bishop to g4 or to play e5? I don't know. Let's play h3. I think it's not very bad. Bishop e6. Okay. So now where do I need my knight? Somewhere on c4, I think, but prior to doing that, I guess it will be interesting to start with rook to d1. So just exert some pressure along the d file, maybe. And queen to e7. Okay. So probably now queen knight to d2 with the idea of knight c4, right? Why not? Let's try it. And c5, okay. prior to playing castling, because if black castles, then queen goes to a7 and then queen a8 will be very annoying threat. It's no longer the case, so now I have to find a good square for my queen, and maybe it doesn't exist, I don't know. So queen a4 check, what will happen after that? b5? Well, probably b5 is not that bad for me, because this weakens queen side, right? Let's try queen to a4. If bishop goes back to d7, then probably queen to b3, attacking b7. And preparing this knight to c4. Yeah. It looks quite logical. Okay, now knight c4 or something. Bishop takes c4, but then I take on d6, bishop f4. Yeah, this looks very promising. Because I'm ahead in development, and well, this opposite colored bishops will probably make my attack even stronger, even more dangerous, right? Okay. So, what to do now? I mean, what black will do? Castles. Okay. So to take this bishop or not to take. Of course, knight a5 is very, very tempting, but then bishop h2 check and my rook on d1 is hanging. So maybe it makes sense for me just to start with, let's say, bishop to e3 and then to c. Then maybe knight to a5 might become the case. Or maybe just to play e5, also a very interesting idea. Well, there are a lot of different possibilities. Okay, I will try this bishop e3. Maybe a bit careless, because I just leave my pawn e4 hanging. But at least I completed development, I protect my rook d1, and I have some ideas about the attack. On the queen side, so the knight on g8 is kind of stuck, right? So queen takes c4. Well, yeah, this deserves attention, definitely. Then what will I do? Maybe knight to a5. Interesting idea. Just exert some pressure on the bishop. Well, but bishop e4 is on the board. Something different. So now what? Maybe knight to d2, just attacking the bishop. And then this knight will go to a5 and another one to c4. And gradually I will just develop my attack. But maybe I just blundered something, I don't know. This position doesn't look terribly good for white. Maybe at least I have some sort of initiative, I don't know. So now I definitely want to grab this bishop just to damage the pawn structure on the queen side. So what black will do? Bishop b5, then a4. Bishop d5 is possible at the moment. But then knight to c4. Okay, so knight takes c6, queen takes c6. That's understood more or less. So to start with knight to c4 maybe. Yeah. A bit more dangerous, I think. So now at some point I want to take on c6 and then to put another knight on a5, attacking the queen. Just like here. Will it make any sense? Or do I have something better? I don't know. Okay, if I take on c6, knight takes, definitely. Okay, nothing specific actually, so maybe it's time for me to regroup a bit. So one rook goes to e1, another one will go to d1. Yeah, could be something, maybe. Yeah, but probably I'm just a pawn down, I don't know. So well, now I have to take on c6. Just to prevent a checkmate on g2, that's the idea. Okay. Rook to d1. Yeah, nothing specific. Actually a bad game. But okay, let's try to do something. So knight f3, that's true. But b7 is hitting, so maybe. b6. Yeah, that is also true. Okay, let's just sacrifice this. There are some threats, but I do believe it's just a bluff, nothing more than that. Oh, immediately here. So, okay. a6 is hitting, right? I can take it. And now I have some chances. Okay, so probably just, well, it was just a bluff. It was better for black simply to take the knight, right? So in this case, I was thinking of taking on c5, so another trap. So if bishop takes, then queen a8 checkmate. That's clear. But well, first of all, it's possible to do something like knight f3 check, queen takes, then rook takes e1, and when rook takes e1, bishop takes c5 is possible. So black is a minor piece up. Nothing specific. I mean, queen a8 check, okay, king d7, then bishop d6. So just a minor piece up. Maybe I have some sort of compensation, but not a real one, right? So I was a bit stupid during all the game. So actually, when I played d4, it was not that bad. Queen takes d4, f6. Yeah, so maybe here e5 deserved attention. I don't know. Or maybe something tricky like queen c4. So this move is interesting. Just controlling this diagonal, but then queen e7 is probably again a problem because bishop b6 is coming. But now probably I can start with queen b3, simply stopping bishop e6, you know, b7 will be hanging. And if b6 this weakens a bit queenside, I can play something like knight d4, knight f5 if I want, just continuing the development. So it was better for me to play in a more subtle manner, I don't know, because what I did was too simple. So I played h3, that was a waste of time. So after bishop e6, we can see that black is all right. So here everything was just fine, right? After castling, this sacrifice, so-called sacrifice of the e4 wasn't justified 100%, so it was better to do something with this pawn. I don't know, for instance, rook e1 was a move, just more or less protecting the pawn, maybe intending to play e5 at some point, and so on. So this was just better than what I did. So I just gave up this pawn, then played knight d2, very lame justification, right, of this pawn sacrifice. So it looks nothing, right? So queen g6, absolutely correct decision, and here black is just a pawn up, and only some complications in the time trouble helped me to outplay my opponent. But again, it was just a bluff. Sorry for that. So let's continue. Okay, I have other challengers. Phenomenon. Did we play? Yes, we played already, but okay, let's try it once again. e4, okay, e5, so Philidor, let's play Philidor. Bishop c4, well, intending to play knight g5 against knight f6, so here bishop e7 is one of good moves. Okay, and now knight f6. I guess it's playable. So castles. h3, and well, let's try c6. Just preparing b5, d5, kind of multi-purpose move. Oh well, so can I play d5 right now? Yes, why not? Just d5. Okay, I can take on e4 if I want. Take c4, take c4, queen d1, rook d1, knight e4, knight e5. It will be just more or less equal. I don't want it. So maybe knight d7 deserves attention, right? Just protecting e5. In which case, e4 is hanging. Yeah. Yeah, so I just have more space now. Probably I have to continue with something like bishop d6, improving position of my pieces even more. Yeah, especially after rook e1 move. Maybe bishop d6 deserves attention. But bishop g5 might be not that pleasant. So maybe queen c7 instead. So ed5, cd5, what is there? Still bishop g5, but well, in that case maybe it's not that bad for me. I don't even know. So queen c7 or something. Doesn't look like the best move. Bishop d6 looks a bit more natural to me. Yeah. Okay, I will try bishop to d6. So with bishop g5, then just h6 maybe. Or knight to c5. Knight to c5 is also an interesting idea. Challenging the bishop and then maybe even using the position of the bishop on g5, playing knight to e6, right? Yeah, it was possible. But my opponent decided to play something else. Okay, rook to e8, can't be bad. Rook just helps me to overprotect this e5 point, very important one. And now probably I can play queen to c7, right? Yeah, why not? Also improving the position a bit. Bishop g5, okay, h6. So if the bishop goes to h4, knight g3 is no longer possible, maybe, or at least a bit complicated, because of g5 or something like that. Well, but still probably h4 is the best position after bishop g5, yeah, because the knight has another route to f5, it is through e3. Well, how to improve my position? What to do next? So knight c5 is probably my dream, but f6 knight is a bit vulnerable at the moment, so maybe it's not the right moment. What can I do to prepare that? Maybe bishop to f8. Let's try bishop to f8. I think it's playable. I mean, I want to play queen to d6 if necessary. After bishop g3, maybe it's no longer so dangerous to play knight c5. But then knight e5 might be the case. Okay, my position is not very pleasant to play. What about d takes c4, d takes c4, and knight c5 there? Yeah, this might be an interesting idea. Okay, let's close the e file. So to prevent everything dangerous connected with the e5, then knight c5, probably forcing the bishop to c2, right? Yeah. And then I can play knight to h5, I guess. Yeah, knight to h5, attacking the bishop, and maybe even occupying f4 after that, right? It looks a bit strange, but I think I have the time for all of this. So now knight to f4, I think normal position for my knight. If bishop takes a4, I take with the pawn. Okay, my pawns are not that healthy, but I think, well, I have a lot of different possibilities to protect pawn on f4, and this pawn f4 will restrict white's knight on f1. So also I will have pair of bishops, so it might be very, very pleasant to play with black. Long term, I think my position should be better. Okay, queen to e2. So what is next? Bishop to f5. It's kind of very tempting. Just attacking e4. And I guess to d2 in that case. And for instance, bishop goes to h7. Why not? I think this placement of the bishop will be okay. Aha, this way. So can I take just on e4? F3, bishop takes c2, queen e8, rook e8. I don't understand. Rook e8 and bishop goes away somewhere. I should be something like minor piece up, right? So bishop takes e4, b4 maybe. But then bishop takes c2 anyway. Yeah, let's take it. Okay. So bishop takes e4, I can take with either the knight or the rook. I win the knight because now if f3 or something, knight goes to f6. So I'm a pawn up. But the question is, will I have enough time to convert it? By the way, knight g5 probably was a bit better than what I did. But what I did is also not that bad, actually. So now g6, bishop g7 is possible. Yeah. Okay, let's take it. Simplification, right? A slight simplification, why not? Don't know, let's do this. Let's protect the pawn, but maybe it wasn't good. Oh, let's take this guy. I have an extra minor, extra pawn, not a minor piece, of course. So I should be winning somehow. So breakthrough or something, yeah, I think this should decide. And my pawn promotes. Okay. I'm faster, just much faster. Check. Check. Takes the pawn. Oh. Okay, so conversion was probably not that great, but okay. So let's have a look. I think I had no problems starting from this moment. So first of all, this line against Philidor defense is not very ambitious. So it's better to play d4. I mean, instead of bishop c4 and d3. But okay, even here after c6, it's better probably just to play bishop b3 to prevent at least immediate d5. So there, in my opinion, white has more chances to fight for opening advantage. Immediate castling, well, I had a chance to play almost everything. I decided to play d5, then knight to d7, rook e1, bishop d6. So immediate bishop g5 was interesting, just exerting some pressure, right? On my position, because now, for example, e takes d5 is this threat, but here I wanted to play something like this, so maybe even to sacrifice some material. The point is that if bishop goes away, then knight goes to e6, and I think I'm fine. So I want to take this bishop, right, to have bishop spare. I have a good control over the center, so I think black has no problems. But the point is here, right? So this leaves d5 not protected, and it's possible to take on d5. So in which case I take the bishop, probably queen takes b3, and here I have some sort of compensation, maybe, I'm not sure. So I have pair of bishops, maybe some initiative thanks to my pawn on e5, so I have some dynamic tricks, maybe, but probably it's not enough. So I can play rook e8, of course, protecting e5. I can be more active by playing h6, but then bishop h4. So I don't know, rook e8 is probably needed here to protect e5, and then it's not clear, but white is a pawn up, so it deserves serious attention. What else could I do instead of sacrificing the pawn? I don't know. Bishop g5, pawn is hanging, so I can probably take on e4, right? So takes on e4, takes on e4, now knight c5, protecting the bishop on d6, which was attacked by the queen from d1, and probably forcing the bishop to c2, and now what? I don't know, maybe h6, maybe knight to e6, but after knight e6, I have to be ready to recapture with the pawn, right? So it's not very good. Maybe knight e6 is not the best move, not the best decision here, but on the other hand, what to do? So white wants to play b4 and to force my knight to e6 or somewhere. So I think at least this position is equal, right? So it deserved attention to play this way, because after knight e2, I think I'm completely fine. So I managed to improve all the pieces, to complete the development, to have this great position. I think, yeah, the last moment was here after bishop f5. I think black already has some sort of edge, but it was still possible to do something like knight d2. I'm not sure that's, well, black is already winning here something. So, of course, I can take on e4 several times and then to play f5, but then queen c4 check will be in the end of the variation. So I guess, well, white is still fighting for something. Or it was possible to try to simplify position a bit after playing e5. So I can exchange this bishop on c2, but who knows, maybe this favors white, right? So giving me a pawn was a mistake, a serious one, right? Okay, let's continue. So the next challenger is Kramnik student. I accept the game, and we play just without a commentator, because Kramnik student asked me not to use it anymore. I won't. Okay. So, Najdorf or what? A6. Okay, let's repeat what we've played already several times, I think, or maybe one time, I don't remember. So this bishop c4 move in the combination with the a4. Some sort of interesting mix, in my opinion. Castles and king to h1. So what did Kramnik student prepare here? Let's see. So knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, e5 and bishop e6, or just something like bishop d7, rook c8. No, b6 is on the board. Okay, so let's continue development, I think. It can't be bad. Bishop b7. Does my pawn e4 hen or not? So knight takes d4 can be a threat, right? So let's try this. I mean, instead of playing immediate f4, f5, which was also playable, I guess, I will try this a bit more positional approach. Rook to c8, and what I wanted to do here is just to take on c6 maybe, and to play queen to f2, attacking b6 pawn. Is it something or not? Let's see. So I can also try immediate queen to f2. Yeah, immediate queen to f2 deserves more attention, I think. So now I have a threat to b6 pawn. What black will do? That is the question. There are several options, as usual. One of them is to take on d4, of course. But now my bishop is kind of awesome. And now I think I can try playing f4. f4, f5, as quick as possible. But after f4, of course, knight c5 should be considered. So knight c5, what is next? Just f5, ignoring everything, but well, this might be... Yeah, this might be playable, by the way, because of the problem of b6 pawn, so black can't really take on b3 in that case. Okay, let's try it. Again, looks like a bluff a bit, but here it's less bluff if compared to the very first game. After knight c5, also interesting to try queen to g3 first. In which case, of course, black will play bishop f8 protecting g7, and well, bishop on b3 will be hanging already. Pawn on e4 is under pressure, so I should also count this. But okay, let's play f5. I think at least it is a promising continuation, because now I have several very nasty threats. Both of them are connected with f6. e6 is also hanging. If black plays e5, for example, then I can even try bishop takes c5 and to play against this d5 square. But after knight takes b3, well, I can take on b6 intermediate capture, I can take on b3, and then what to do with the b6 pawn? I can't see anything wrong with just taking on b6. But maybe I have even more if I just take on b3 first, because now b6 is hanging, right? It's a hanging exchange. So if e5 now, let's say, then bishop takes b6. If black does something else just to prevent bishop b6 somehow, I don't even know what to do. So to go away with the rook somewhere or with the queen, I have several interesting continuations, including, let's say, bishop takes g7 followed by f6. Yeah, just making the king simply exposed, right? I can even try to take on b6 first and then to come back. This might be also very annoying for black. But well, what will be the best? So maybe even f6 immediately. So f6, let's say bishop takes f6. Don't know. Maybe queen g3 after queen d7. It makes sense because black doesn't have e5 I can take with the bishop simply. So queen g3, if bishop f8, then takes g7 and f6 wins. What is better? I don't know. Even everything looks very promising. So after queen g3, probably f6 will be forced. Okay, let's try simply f6. One of possible ways. Let's see how it works. I don't know. Oh, this way. That is surprising. But okay. Check. And connecting the rook should decide simply. Through this third rank, I think. Yeah, it will be just devastating. If king goes to f8, I have even rook takes d6, by the way. Yeah, but I don't think it's needed, so. Let's just bring the rook to the attack and it will be over. Rook d6 was also possible, but then queen c7 still playable. Well. Should be winning in all lines now. If rook, for example, goes away somewhere from the back rank, then I can take on d6 100%. But of course, if rook goes to the c7, it's not possible because f7 will be protected already. So yeah. What could be the plan? easy. Rook to f3, let's say, and queen h8 check becomes a decisive threat, right? So I don't know what to do with black here. I mean, queen e7 loses on the spot due to queen h8 checkmate. King e8 doesn't really help because of rook g3, let's say. Rook f3 also. Oh, here I think rook d6 wins on the spot. Because of the hanging rook on d8, right? So now queen c7 doesn't work like move before. And, well, I just win. So why didn't I play rook d6 immediately here after king f8? Because, well, of course black is not forced to take. Queen c7 is possible. So yeah, it's still winning, I know. Ooh, for example, rook takes c6, right? This one I didn't see, of course. Yeah, this was much better. Just rook d6, rook takes c6, and now queen h8 checkmate is just right. And if king g8, then, well, anything including rook e7 should win. Okay, so yeah, rook d6 immediately was much better. So here, instead of knight takes c5, the best move was e5 immediately, after which I wanted just to take maybe on c5 to save my light squared bishop on the board, and after queen c5, for instance, I can try queen g3 first, creating a threat of f6, which will be just winning. And if, let's say, bishop goes to f6, blockading the pawn, I wanted to do this probably. Bishop to d5, exchanging light squared bishops, and finally I will have some sort of this typical advantage of the knight against the bishop. So now, as you can see, knight f6 is a threat, so no time for capturing c2 or something, and this position is just classic one. So white is almost winning strategically. I don't know, so probably it was better to do something here. I mean, when I played bishop to b3, it was interesting to play knight to a5, forcing my bishop to a2, and after that, rook goes to c8. Now knight c4 is the idea. In which case, I don't know, maybe it makes sense for me to do something like this. Bishop takes e6. I also calculated this sort of moves during the game. So takes here, knight takes e6. The point is that b6 is hanging now. Queen is hanging, rook is hanging. I have now 2 pawns, right, for sacrificed minor piece. But probably if black makes a correct move, everything is more or less fine. I mean, queen to b8, let's say. No, queen to b8 is not a correct move because bishop takes b6. So maybe queen to d7 is a correct move, attacking the knight. And now what is going on? I don't know. So knight takes. If rook takes, I take on b6. So it's necessary to take with the bishop or queen. After which it's possible to play e5. Yeah, so white has the initiative here, but it's not that easy to evaluate the position. So I have 2 pawns and the rook. You have 2 minor pieces. So this looks, yeah, interesting. So one of possible ideas, but also possible just to continue in a normal way, like preparing the attack on the king side. But if compared to the main line, here I've just lost the tempo on f3 move, but maybe it's not that bad. So maybe I have some additional resources connected with the g4, g5 rather than f4, f5. I don't really know. Bishop c1 deserves attention here, just going away with the bishop, protecting e4, and if knight goes to c4, then probably f4, preparing this typical f5, and so on. So just a normal Sicilian position, right? After I managed, of course, to exert some pressure on b6, well, it was already not that pleasant, at least, to play with black. And of course, knight takes b3, yeah, it was a decisive mistake. So I took on b3, now b6 is hanging, g7, f6, so everything drops since, well, black has no Enough pieces on the king side, right? So no chances to protect everything and no surprises. White won easily. Okay. Very interesting comment. Andre's fridge is cooling his beer after the show. Yeah. I wish it was like that. Not the worst idea, by the way. So yeah, tomorrow I will buy probably some beers and yeah, and drink it. Everything depends on the results of today's show, right? Andre, have you been following the London Chess Classic? What do you mean? You mean this year or just in general? Well, another question. Have you any comments on Timur Gariyev's blindfold world record? No, I don't have comments. Probably great, I don't know. So, let's continue. Okay. Deep Crusher, by the way, is the next challenger. So, let's play to Deep Crusher. Accept. And I play with white, right? E4. Don G asks, Andre, is a beer lover? Not a lover. But I drink some from time to time. Okay, E4, E5, Knight F3. The first round was earlier this evening. Okay, so I didn't follow it. Okay, Philidor against me. Very nice. Very nice. Let's play. So probably the guys want to see how to play against Philidor. What? Knight to c6 is something new to me. So e4 or knight d7, but knight c6, that's strange. However, after, let's say, bishop to b5, we will have just a Steinitz, right? In Ruy Lopez, so it will be transposition. Interesting. Take c5. Is that anything? No, I don't think so. Okay, so let's transpose to Ruy Lopez. Very interesting. It looks like this opening setup has a name, special name. Interesting. So now to bishop d7, I think we just have one of the lines of Steinitz, right? Just a Steinitz, I think. What else black can do? I don't know. So a6, just bishop c6 takes c5, I think it's winning already. Yeah, so only bishop d7, I guess, is a move here. Okay, d4, one of possible ways of playing here, but maybe not the best one. Maybe not the best one. Let's take on d4 simply. Just fighting for this space maybe, for some sort of central domination, and first of all for development, I think. Let's castle. Let's see what is that. Knight takes d4, bishop takes d7, queen d7, queen d4. So I will have not much, but at least I will have some sort of advantage in development. Maybe it is something, maybe not, I don't know. Let's see. The question, hey Andre, how do you select challengers for Banter Blitz? Just, you know, one by one. Today I play one by one. So starting with the earliest challenges, and yeah, just going through this list, something like that. So now what? To take on c6, simply, or something, I don't know. Knight to d5 is also a move. Knight takes d5, e5, knight d4, bishop takes d7, queen d7, queen d4. Castles, but there black has no problems, of course. Knight to f5 is an interesting idea. Pair of bishops, maybe some sort of space advantage. I don't really know. Bishop takes c6 followed by queen f3 is also kind of move. A lot of different ideas here for white, to be honest. Let's just choose one of them. I don't know. Knight to f5. Let's see how it works. Yeah, bishop takes f5 looks like the most natural reply here, but queen d7 is sort of strange decision. Well, it attacks f5, but at the same time it makes the knight pinned, but maybe just for a while. Maybe just for a while. Okay, let's protect f5 pawn first, sort of activate the queen. Then maybe rook to e1. Yeah, might be something. Might be not. Let's see. Well, I think I achieved not that much out of the opening. But well, maybe it's not that important, you know, to achieve the advantage, especially when you play blitz, right? So it's better just to have good positions. I mean, positions where you understand what to do, where you have clear plans so you can play fast and hence outplay your opponents. Knight e5, come on, it's a serious mistake. Rook takes e5 with the material advantage. So c6, rook takes e7, another intermediate move, right? It's better than anything else, I guess. Yeah. So now I have pair of bishops. Sorry, I thought that after queen e7 there is a sort of queen e1, but come on, let's forget about it. I have a bishop here to protect myself. Thanks God, I didn't blunder. Okay. Very nice. Oh yeah. d5. Okay, d5 is a playable move, no questions, but the problem is that I have a great material advantage here and a good position. So what could be the plan? Just to transfer the knight somewhere to h5. Yeah, might be very good. So let's do it. Knight e2, knight g3. Question from Killer05. Who's the best Banter Blitzer? I think Swidler. Yeah, should be Swidler. Okay, to exchange pieces or not to exchange pieces here. Queen to h3 looks very tempting. Let's try queen to h3. I want to take on f6 and just expose the king and maybe to checkmate it. Finally. Queen takes c2. So now bishop takes f6 and rook d4. Oh yeah, let's try to attack. A bit. But I have blundered queen takes d1. That's bad. Okay, but maybe it's still okay. I don't know. So what will happen if I play queen to g4? Let's play queen to g4 first of all, just prior to doing anything else, creating a threat of a checkmate, right? g6 is forced, and then the question, can I play queen to g5? So let's calculate. G6, queen g5, let's say rook takes e2. Oh, come on, queen takes g7 immediately. Yeah. Okay, so the interesting question was after queen g4 if black plays g6. So of course I can just take on d8 and I'm still better, but well, maybe it's already a bit complicated for white to convert. And yeah, if I play queen g5 here, then rook d6 might be really unpleasant for me. Yes, probably bishop d8 here is forced. Rook takes d8, and what to do here? Maybe here to play queen g5, attacking the rook. Rook goes somewhere, probably to e8. Otherwise, my queen can get to e7. Just let's say after rook d7, of course no, but after rook d6, it might be very annoying. Queen e7, how to protect this rook? White wins. Rook is trapped. So rook to e8, let's say. And what about f6 here? Is it a move? I think so, because after rook e2, I play queen h6. I can't see a defense. So black is one step later to come up with a counterplay against my king, right? Okay. So, what the drunken lawyer says, just a sec. I want to see that, but I can't use my alt iPad, right? Okay, so can't really, yeah, I can't really do anything with that. So just stuck a bit. Okay, so where black made a mistake. So here after this, e takes f5. I think, well, queen d7. Well, queen d7 was not a mistake. Definitely wasn't a mistake. So let's see, queen here, queen f3, castles, rook e1, rook e8, bishop g5. Everything was more or less fine. Yeah, of course, knight e5 was a blunder. It was necessary to define the position already. I mean, to play a6. I think I can't afford playing something like bishop a4 because of b5, right? So can black play b5 here? Let's say knight takes b5, a takes b5, bishop takes b5, and then d5, right? It's nothing serious, probably. Queen goes to c3, let's say. Well, knight e4 deserves attention. Queen takes f5. Is it something or not? Not sure. Okay, so maybe it is better to play this a6 b5 a bit earlier. So after queen f3, yeah, after queen f3, it was, yeah, possible, I guess, without big problems. Maybe even prior to queen d7, you know. So takes here just to clarify the things, so where the bishop goes, right? If bishop takes c6, okay, b takes c6. I don't think white has anything serious there. Maybe a bit more pleasant position, but nothing more. If bishop goes away from this diagonal a4, e8, then the knight is free, so black can play this queen d7, and the knight will jump to d4 or e5 whenever the queen will be on f3. If bishop goes to a4, I think it's possible even to play something like b5 at a proper moment. I'm not sure that immediately, but yeah. Another interesting plan is just to play d5 again at a proper moment to try to exploit the majority on the queen side, right? So black has 4 pawns against 3. White has also 4 pawns against 3 on the king side, but white's pawns are doubled, right? So advantages and disadvantages. But I think black's position is playable, 100%. So knight e5 was a serious blunder. 95, yeah, after 95 white is much better. So instead of knight e5, well, what to play again instead of knight e5? As I said, a6 is possible, h6 is possible to try to define the situation on the king's side. What else? What else? Maybe even d5 is possible. But then rook d1 might be unpleasant. Yeah. So yeah, this position is already not that cool for black. So yeah, somewhere earlier it was necessary to try this a6 b5 at a proper moment, but I'm not sure where. But okay, so let us just refresh the page with comments and continue with playing chess. So who's next? The original cap. Okay, the original cap. Let's play original cap. I play with white again. Kind of happy today. So a lot of games with white. I said I played black, or I said I play white. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm happy. So d4. Knight d4. Oh, interesting command. Knight d4 instead of e5. Yeah, this might be a different story. No, bishop takes d7. By the way, after knight d5, it was also possible, just bishop takes d7. I missed that. So after knight d4, bishop takes d7, knight takes f3, pawn takes f3, knight takes d7, and bishop takes c7, or rook takes c7, winning the minor piece. By the way, I missed this variation. Yeah. So it was winning a piece, so both ideas, knight e5 and knight e4, were completely wrong, right? Okay. So takes d4, knight takes d4. Sorry for this 1 minute delay. I was like thinking of this knight d4 move in the previous game. Okay, so what do? We play dragon, right? Once again, this calm dragon with the bishop e2. Bishop g7, castles. Castles, rook goes to e1. So I prepare knight d5 gradually. If knight c6, I go knight b3. But rook e8. What is that? Not sure. Okay, bishop to f1. Should be played. It's a planned move just to make the rook working along the e file. e5. I have never seen this before. So now d6 is completely weak with the bishop on g7. Okay. How to deal with this weakness? To start with a direct attack, I don't know. Knight b5, then d5. Yeah, this might be not that promising. What else is possible? Just simple. I don't even know what to play now. Huh. There are so many different opportunities. I don't know, let's play f3. Just preparing bishop e3, for example. Protecting e4, controlling g4 square, and so on. Oh, good question. Good question. Who won the Banter? Nobody. Ah, come on. Nobody won. because no one participated. Just imagine. Just imagine this shit. Can you believe me? I can't believe in that. I can't believe in that. But okay, maybe next time there will be another prize. Probably this prize was not very attractive to participate in the contest. Yeah, so actually somebody could have won with the one link, one share only. It was possible, but nobody participated, so nobody won. Everybody's kind of lazy nowadays, right? Yeah. Queen b6 check. Okay, bishop to f2. So finally my bishop reached this diagonal. So I want it. Queen c7. Okay. So queen d2 or something. Yeah, so queen d2 followed by what? By rook d1. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Just to attack the weakness on d6. Facepalm Chess says, not lazy, but too many sources for divided attention. Yeah, I agree to you too. So yeah. Yeah. And maybe I should have presented the contests, you know, in a more clear way or something like that, you know. I understand that I also did some mistakes. So let's undermine the pawn on b5. What are your views on the King's Gambit? Very skeptical. I actually do like playing against King's Gambit with black. So I don't believe King's Gambit is very promising if black reacts correctly. Okay, so finally I achieved something not what I wanted to achieve. So if knight takes d5, I thought that after e d5 I win b4 pawn, but then c2 will be handy. So maybe it's not that clear. I have to understand it now. So knight e5, e5, where the knight goes first of all. If e7, come on. Every move is kind of surprise. It's very hard for me to predict. Because now I can take on f6 first, then h6 is hanging, d6 is hanging, everything is hanging, okay? So I will take on f6, probably then I will take on h6 because d6 remains weakened, right? I will just come back to attack this pawn. So now I'm a pawn up, right? Nice achievement. Then I will come back to d2 probably with the queen. Rook to d1, or maybe I will leave the queen there on h6 because it is also a very active position and good one. So maybe just rook to d1 now, or no, bishop g5 is this threat. So I definitely have to go back to d2, right? Bishop g5, okay, bishop to e3. I'm not really against simplifying position a bit because I have an extra pawn, right? Queen takes. Yeah, my position is very good now. And I have much more time on the clock, which is quite pleasant. After all these losses in the time trouble, you know, it's very pleasant to have so many minutes on the clock. So bishop c4 deserves attention. Yeah, it deserves attention. Why not? Intending to occupy d5 with the bishop. It will be just winning. It's already winning, but with the bishop on d5, it will be just completely winning. Okay, here I can take. Again, simplifying the position more and more. Now let's say rook to d1. Yeah, it's lost. White has an extra pawn in addition to being better just from a pure positional point of view. So what was the reason of Black's loss here? I do believe e5 move. It's very, very strange. You know, it's okay when you have the bishop on e7, let's say, just like in Najdorf, right? But when your bishop is already on g7, I don't think e5 makes any sense, because look, your bishop on g7, right? It should be active. That's the reason why people on Earth play this dragon, right? To have this active bishop and this diagonal h8, a1. With the help of e5, you just make it passive, right? At the same time, you weaken d6 pawn. So to be sure that d6 won't be a problem for you, you need the bishop somewhere on e7 protecting this pawn. So just like in Najdorf, if you play e5, then bishop goes to e7. When the bishop is on g7, e5 is just not a move. That's a big problem. Maybe it's not, you know, this sort of awful decision which leads to a losing position already. Maybe it's still playable, but after e5, you just have less chances than with the help of almost any other move, any other decision. So just a bad, wrong decision. That's what I mean. So yeah, e5 was wrong, definitely. d5 square, yeah, so everything. Everything what is bad about e5 in any Sicilian position, here it is even worse, because you don't have this bishop on e7, right? And maneuvering this bishop to e7 after all this will be something really slow, and this will allow me a lot, right? So I guess, yeah, I guess that was the main reason of the loss. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Butterfly, accept. So finally, yeah, finally black pieces. Okay, let's do it. And d4. Okay, knight c3, and looks like it is very no Verisov. It will be this gambit, right? Yeah, it will be this gambit with the f3. Okay, let's take that, and let me remember what I wanted to play. So last time I played it, I played g6 and I was crushed. So there is also another interesting plan for black as far as I remember. It is, yeah, it is bishop to f5. Something like Caro-Kann, but with the extra pawn, right? I should be careful here, of course. So to start with c6, I think. Yeah, let's play c6 here. Maybe bishop f5 is not in time. I mean, instead of bishop f5, c6 first. Yeah, that could be a correct order of moves. And then it depends on where white develops his pieces. But still okay, I guess. I'm fine. So g4, and now probably just bishop to e6. I'm not forced, right, to occupy g6 and to be attacked with this h4. But bishop g6 is also completely playable in my opinion. But let's try this bishop to e6 move. What white will do now? A lot of weaknesses. Just g5, okay. Okay, let's fight with this knight e5. I think it is the most dangerous piece here. Let's challenge it. Black's position is quite solid, so I don't have weaknesses. The only problem is, of course, the development. That's a real problem. But okay, maybe it's not that, you know, important right away. Let's put the knight on b6, attacking d4. After g5, we can see that f5 is weakened, so now I have great square for my bishop, so I can come back to f5. For instance, if white attacks my bishop from f4, then I can come back to f5. But white doesn't want to play knight f4 or knight c5, so maybe I can just play queen takes d4. It's maybe too much, right? But it gives me one more pawn. All right. Yeah, let's take it. Queen takes d4. Very good pawn. Okay, bishop e3 is in the air, but maybe I can just make this check. I mean, it might be very annoying. So the knight is passive now, and I can complete my development. Easily knight to a6, but then bishop takes c6 might be annoying a bit, but bc6, queen a6, so what? Nothing actually. I can play knight to d7 now, and then castles, also quite good. Bishop c4, active move, deserves serious attention. What to play? I like the idea of knight to a6. Yeah, looks interesting. So this knight can go down to b4. Oh, castle's short. Castle's short. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. Okay. So it's playable. It's playable. So now what? To undermine the pawn g5 with the help of h6, or? But then g6 will be at least annoying. So let's put the bishop on c4. Knight goes to d3 now, I believe. Yeah, maybe bishop c4 was just not a move. Oh. Something strange is going on. Okay, I will take it. Now I'm winning, I believe. So, extra exchange. 2 extra pawns, come on. It can't be playable for white. 100%. So, let's play this. Very strange. Knight d3 was just a normal move for white. I don't know why white didn't play it. Knight to c4, for example, attacking the bishop, and pawn b2. Yeah. Knight to b4 now, attacking c2 pawn. Well, come on, it's simply lost now. I think it's time to resign, but, well, white still has some practical chances due to my time travel, maybe, but it's not serious, of course. And let's put the knight here in d6, simplify the position a bit. I have extra materials, so I can afford just exchanging pieces. Okay, knight c5, knight takes c2. Rook b1. Okay, what to take now? Maybe nothing, I don't know. Let's probably castle, or what? Okay, let's castle. Rook b2. Okay, knight goes to the center. Knight goes to d4. Well, not very interesting, of course. Black has a lot of extra material here. So the rest is not very inspiring. So I just have to complete my development and to see what to do with my extra pawns, extra exchange, and so on. I can come up with a further simplification, for example. A knight to c4 might be an interesting idea. Just right away, by the way. Knight to c4 takes c5. One of possible moves. It is also possible to play just b6 here. Why not? Just to get rid of this active knight on c5, right? Takes. King b7. Attacking the knight. Oh. Come on, knight to b5, let's say. Takes on b4. Takes with the pawn. d3, d2, right? No. Still absolutely winning. I don't know. I'll capture everything here, I think. I have a feeling of that. Yeah. Let's exchange. Let's, I don't know, promote another queen or what. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. Blame to the mate. Good fighting spirit, by the way, but well, it wasn't necessary, I think. But okay, it's your decision after all. So, I don't know the theory of this variation, of course. So bishop c4 probably wasn't a good decision because of knight d3. So after knight d3, it's kind of not clear position because of rook f4 threat. So I thought, okay, I will be completely all right after castling, let's say, but then rook f4, and my queen is a bit of, limited here. So if queen g5, then rook c4, attacking the queen with the bishop from c1. If I take on d3, intermediate capture, okay, you take the bishop. Then if I take queen g5, you have some interesting things like rook f7, so my pawn structure is a bit damaged. You have pair of bishops, you have sort of advantage in development, so position might be very, very annoying for black. So yeah, knight d3 was a good move, normal. After queen e4, everything is clear, so I just have extra exchange and white has nothing, right? That's it. Yeah, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. Who's next? Trikanti. Accept. And again, white pieces. Okay, I'm lucky enough today. To have white pieces in almost every game. That's the idea. Okay, c5, knight to f3, and what is that? Knight or dragon? One more dragon. Okay, let's see. Again, calm approach with the bishop on e2. Knight goes to b3 usually. Castles, rook to e1, bishop to f1. Knight to d5 or bishop to g5. Let's try bishop to g5. So I just tried to exert some pressure on black's position, nothing specific. It is what this opening setup all about. So you just develop all the pieces, you do not hurry up, and well, everything is fine. For example, after knight g4, we can see that black is probably about to take my knight on c3. Well, exert some pressure on f2, and so on. So maybe it makes sense for me just to play, let's say, queen to d2, preparing the development of the rook to d1. Why not, after all, exerting some pressure on h6, and so on. And protect an f2, by the way, just in addition to everything else. Okay, rook to d1 can't be a bad decision, I think. Now all my pieces, almost all my pieces are in the play. Almost all my pieces are active now. And g5, wow. Okay. I'm not against this, weakens position of the king a bit. Queen to b6. Okay, so what about knight d5 now? It will be a tempo move. Knight d5, bishop d5, e d5, where the knight goes? Let's say to b4, then c3 is possible, but then knight takes a2, not that clear. e7 is heading at the same time, so position might be very, very complicated, right? Yeah, something like that. So knight d5, bishop d5, e d5, knight b4. Do I have anything better than c3 move? Pawn on c2 is heading, right? Pawn on a2 is heading. That is also a bit annoying. But okay, c3, knight takes a2. Knight on b3 is heading now. But knight on a2 is misplaced. Will I have something there or not? Yeah, I think I will. So I will try this knight d5. Looks very promising. So bishop d5, e d5, knight b4, c3, knight a2, knight to d4. Yeah, I'm a pawn down currently. But e7 will be under pressure, f5 square will be very weak, and if bishop takes d4, then queen takes d4. And I'm not sure that the knight from a2 will come back to the game, right? So now the main problem of black's pieces is how to protect e7 correctly. Yeah, now c3. Attacking the knight and forcing the knight probably to capture on a2. Because if knight goes to a6, I can't see a compensation when I just take on e7. Simply a pawn for nothing, yeah. So knight a2 attacking my knight b3, and now I planned just to play knight to d4. The point that if black takes on d4, I take with the queen attacking the knight on g4. And this stops black from taking on b2. The knight on a2 starts looking just trapped. Alright, so queen takes d4, rook d4. Knight goes away now because it is hanging, and then something traps the knight. Rook a4, and that's it. Yeah, so my calculation was good, I guess. Oh, f5 I missed. Okay, okay. But maybe it's not that critical already. Come on. Yeah, my calculation was good, but I missed this move. Great. Simply great. But okay, let's play f3, I think. It doesn't change the situation, so it should be still winning for white, because knight on a2 is just hopeless. And helpless, I do believe. So, knight takes f2. No. No. Doesn't take. But now rook to a4, and that's it, I think. Yeah. Knight takes c3, okay. That is not enough, of course. Simply extra minor piece. a6, okay. c4 or bishop d4? Bishop d4. No, bishop d4 looks more natural. Challenging the knights, and e7 will be hanging, right? Yeah. So simply extra minor piece for nothing, to be honest. Well, 2 pawns, all right, but they're not connected, so these pawns can't be really dangerous. Yeah. Just a lost position. And Black also has a lot of holes in his position. That's really annoying, I guess. So now what? Rook to b1, then to attack b7 pawn, or just to take on e5 several times. Everything looks very promising here for white, to be honest. c4, c5 is also an interesting idea. Just c4, then c5. I don't really know what is better. Okay, let's just grab this knight, I don't know. Take c5, take c5. Now black has a damaged pawn structure, so let's play c4. Extra minor piece, right? Let us also centralize, right? Why not? Now bishop to d3, let's say. Now, for example, attacking b7. Now rook b6 check. Yeah, it's hopeless. Simply hopeless. Okay, let's continue with the activation of the king. Black has no counterplay. Okay, I'll just ignore that. First, I will put my king on b4. And then I will collect all black's pawns, I think. Yeah. One by one, because all the pawns are just weak. Time to resign, I think, but okay. My opponent keeps playing. So I wanted to put my king on b4, right? Yeah. And now I wanted to start collecting the pawns. So let's do it. Bishop g6, bishop h5, or just rook e5? Rook e5, of course, why not? h5 will be next. Yeah, it's lost. Completely lost. So where it was a mistake. So bishop d7 was completely playable, bishop to f1, rook to c8, bishop g5. Probably it's better for black just to come up with this active play connected with the knight e5. Knight e5, knight c4 could be a counterplay for black. So to use c4 square, very typical one in Sicilian in general and in Dragon in particular, and so on. Just to be as quick as possible with that. So usually white plays something like knight d5 here, let's say knight takes, e5, and then e7 becomes a target. So rook e8, for instance, I can play c3, but then knight c4, something like this. I don't know, bishop c4, queen e2 could be played, and so on. So in many cases, it's just an equal position, and who is better, that guy wins. That's the idea, just to play normal chess and so on. So nothing specific, but I don't believe in the power of this plan. I mean, h6, g5, this weakens a lot. In my opinion, it's just sort of very, very risky, at least. Okay, so let's continue. I think I will play 2 more games or something. So who's next? Let's say Bolo 51 from Netherlands. Okay, accept. Yeah, I'm playing with white. Another interesting question. So, Facepalm Chess asks, Andre, do you consider yourself a positional or tactical player? I would say rather tactical, but my judgment is rather uneducated given my rating. So, to be honest, I don't know what does it mean. I mean, tactical player or positional player. So I divide players onto two groups. So players who tend to attack the king, right? So to play very nervous chess, let's call it this way. And players who tend to play more positional, strategic chess. So probably I'm simply in the second group, right? So I try to play calm chess. That's my idea. So I play for space, let's say, right? I try to improve positions of my pieces. So yeah, if the king becomes very weak, of course, I try to attack the king. But well, it depends, right? So I don't do everything just to attack or something like that. So from this point of view, I'm probably a positional player. But a tactical player, I don't know what does it mean, a tactical player. The guy who, well, uses tactical motives or something, tactical weaknesses of the opponent. But come on, positional player does that as well, right? So tactics and strategy are closely connected, and well, it doesn't mean what sort of player you are. You have to define tactics if it exists in a given position, right? Okay, so let's focus on the game. Andre, who do you think will take the first place in London Chess Classics? I have no idea, guys. I have no idea, sorry. I just don't know. Let's say, I don't know, Nakamura. Let's say Nakamura. Let it be Nakamura. I don't know. So we have a transposition to the line that I had against Kramnik student. All right. So I just prevent b5. That is the difference if compared to normal Sozin-Fischer attack. So there white does everything to play very quick f4, f5, just to grab this diagonal a2, g8. Here I play not so fast for this attack, so I try to prevent black's counterplay as well. And it has advantages and disadvantages, of course. Even with the game of today, I don't know what is the reason. So to think that Nakamura won't win the tournament. So there are lots of examples when somebody lost the game and then won the tournament. Come on, it's still possible to do. I mean, okay, bishop d7. Bishop to d7. So what to do now? Queen to e2 or just f4, f5? Let's see. f4, rook c8, f5, knight to c4, protecting everything, I guess. Yeah, so probably queen to e2 still. Still queen to e2, controlling b5 square, right? Preventing black's b5 at some point, and controlling c4 square. So now if rook c8, then I have the time for rook to d1, let's say. And whenever knight goes to c4, I have bishop c1, and this move no longer makes my rook passive. All right, rook here. Let's play this rook to d1. Oh, come on. Yeah, that was pretty much typical. Oh man, I just lost the concentration. So now I have definitely some problems. I definitely have some problems now. So how to solve them? So c3 is hanging. That's ugly. That's ugly. Looks like, yeah, complete shit for me already. Annoying position. So first of all, I have to solve the problem of the hand in c3 pawn. That's a big problem. Problem number one, let's call it this way. So yeah, black definitely has a compensation for a missing exchange. Maybe black is even a bit better already. Okay, not a big deal. So how to protect c3? That's the question. Queen to e1 looks a bit ugly. But what to do? On the other hand, do I have anything better? I don't think so. So let's put the queen on e1. Okay. Bishop takes a4. Okay, what about taking on e6 now? It will be something really, really strange. So bishop e6 takes e6, knight e6 takes f8. So what will be the material relation? It will be a complete mess. So let's do it. At least it will be fun, right? Bishop e6 takes e6, knight takes e6, queen goes away somewhere, take on f8, then rook d4. Yeah, it will be fun. Let's play it. I don't have enough time, so I have to be really fast. Really fast. I have only 1 minute on the clock. Probably bishop a4 was a bit, you know, premature, so it was better to do something in the center. Let's say d5 deserves serious attention. Or simply knight c5, having everything under control. I mean, still attacking a4 and protecting e6. So bishop a4 definitely gave me a chance. Yeah, so how come I just missed this rook takes c3? That was, yeah. That was really bad from my side. But okay. Happened what happened. So now we have another position. Okay. Black doesn't take on e6. That's very nice, I guess. What can I do now? Bishop to b3, I think. Just a solid move. Protecting everything and attacking the knight on... sorry, bishop on a4. So can I take that bishop? Yes, I think I can. And now what? Now I have at least the f5 square. Very promising one. So let's go there for the attack. Yeah, now it looks very promising. Now it looks very promising with the knight on f5 and extra exchange. So everything that I have to do is just to transfer my pieces to attack g7 somehow. Okay. From a little help, with a little help from my friends, right? Bishop gets to d4. Now g7 is hanging. And bishop on e7 as well. Yeah, it should be winning for white now. I have a feeling. Should be just winning. Gradually, of course. Not immediately. Black definitely is in trouble now. Oh, come on. So how to checkmate that? Let's say this way. I don't know. There are a lot of different ways to checkmate, but f4 kind of controls e5 square, right? So prevents knight to e5, very important defensive resource. Now f6 is heading with a check. At the same time, rook d3, rook h3 prepared, something like that. Yeah, so I think black is just hopeless. So rook h3 and checkmate. That is my prediction for this game. So rook g7, the only defense, right? I'll take it with pleasure. Check. Just to prevent going away and checkmate on g7. Great. Oops. So actually, black had a great position after I blundered this rook takes c3. This actually very typical sacrifice of the exchange. Very nice decisions. It takes on c6, knight takes e4. And here, after this ugly queen to e1, I do believe that taking on e4 was premature. So instead of doing it, it was possible to do almost everything else. Let's say knight to c5 was very solid move, just having everything under control. So now everything is protected, especially this e6 point, right? Very important pawn, very important point for black in this opening system. And in Sicilian in general, right? And now a4 is still hanging, right? Yeah. So black can take on a4 at any moment. What is more important here is actually trying to be active in the center, because you managed to damage my central control completely. So now I don't have this knight on c3, I don't have the pawn on e4. So you have a great resource of, you know, you just pawn mass, pawn fist here in the center. So d5 at some point, e5 and so on. But what is important is to play d5, just to make my bishop a2 completely stupid. That was important. So I do like knight c5 move here. One of possible moves, definitely. So after that, I prefer black, actually. So long term, black should be very good. Having already one pawn for this sacrifice exchange, and in a few moves it will be the second pawn, right? Okay. So next time when I have some problems with video, right, I think. So let me know if the problem went away, please. So, okay, so let's play one more. So I will play 2 games more, I think. So the first one will be against Rock Hero. I just accept. Very cool nickname, by the way. All right. What is going on with everything here? I don't know. This looks like it's stuck completely. Come on. Oh, please. Something very strange, okay. One more challengers. So it's stuck on back to the game. Very, very bad. I will try to... Yeah, it works. So I play to Rock Hero. Okay. E4. Oh, C5, yeah. Knight F3. I was just like, you know, it's frozen, and yeah, I've lost the broadcast, but looks like it works again, right? Yeah, okay. E6, A4. So just a day of this opening setup, as we can see. I play it in almost every game with white. Okay. Let's continue developing the pieces. And d5, yeah, one of possible ways of fighting for some sort of initiative even. So here white has 2 choices usually. They are bishop b3 and bishop to a2. I don't know which to choose. Let it be bishop b3 in this game, okay? Knight to c6, and now h3. Yep. Just preventing everything connected with bishop g4, knight g4, and all this shit. Okay. So now what? Let's say rook to e1. I have some sort of play against isolated pawn. Black also has, yeah, some problems with developing that bishop, but now looks like everything is solved, more or less. What to do now? I have an interesting maneuver in knight e2, knight f4. Let's try it. Let's just try it. h6. Well, what if just knight f4? What is going on here? Oh, back to c8. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's improve our position. So I have some resources to do that. I have some ideas connected with, I don't know, queen d3 and then maybe even bishop to c2. With some sort of checkmate in play. I don't know. Queen f3 looks pretty cool now. Attacking d5. Yeah, let's try this. Queen f3. A very nice concentration of my pieces in the center now. So knight goes to e5, then probably even queen to g3. Just exerting some pressure on blacks. Bishop d7, so rook to d1. Oh god, knight e4 was possible even. Yeah, my play is not very impressive here. 100%, I've just blundered this knight e4. Maybe it's too late already, who knows. But okay, rook to d1 still looks good. If knight e4, then, well, I will even put my queen on h2. d5 will be hanging. That's my main target after all. So let's try to attack it somehow. Everything looks more or less protected. But can I take on d5 now? So knight d5, bishop d5, queen d5. Then knight goes to f5, attacking the queen. Queen goes away, I take on h6, king goes to h8. What is that? Might be something, might be nothing at all. I'm not sure. Not sure. Okay. Let's protect e4 square instead. Yeah, nothing specific, but I think I'm still a bit better because of the isolated pawn on d5. So long term, I'm better. And I have more or less everything protected here. So h5, okay, h4. h5 is a kind of additional target for me now. g6, okay. And g5 square is interesting to occupy, but I can't see how can I make it possible just right now. So maybe just to do what? To simplify a position a bit. Yeah, it makes sense when you play against isolated pawn. Let's try it. Knight to d3 looks rather sensible. Because black's only active piece at the moment is knight to e5. I mean, really active piece. Everything else looks normal, but not that active and not that dangerous. And at the same time, I prepare just doubling rooks along the d file. Kind of straightforward strategy against d5. Then probably bishop to g5. Maybe even intending to take that knight. Or maybe not, I don't know. It's also interesting to try this. Changing blockading pieces, but what was that? It was just a serious blunder. Yeah, bishop f5 was a great resource. Okay, what to do now? What to do now? I don't really know. Yeah, very bad game. Very bad game for me. Let's protect. This bishop to d1, now it looks very ugly, but it is just my only chance to make the things work somehow. Yeah, that was very bad. Knight e2 was so stupid. Such a stupid move, no? Yeah, knight e2, losing the control over b5, f5, everything. Yeah. Instead of that, it was better just to go away with the bishop from e3 somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. Okay, let's try to keep this position at least to keep it. Black is much better now, no questions. No questions. But okay, what can I do? Why not? That is a pawn after all, right? Now we have a material equality. And probably in a few moves I will be again a bit better. Yeah, a2 was just a blunder, I do believe. Now I have some chances. So I have to be very careful. Rook takes e3 will be probably played. I think there Black has not enough for a missing exchange. Okay. Let's just simplify a position. Okay. Let's take it. Why not? Bishop is hanging, right? So let's protect it. Okay. So what? Bishop is hanging there. I'll come back to protect the second rank. Yeah, it's lost now completely. Yeah, lucky me in this game, actually. Yeah, I won on time and position was already winning, but rook takes e3, killer 05 suggestion. I think it is somewhere here when... no, not here, a bit earlier, right? So, somewhere here, right? Rook takes e3, okay, queen takes e3, queen takes g3. It was playable, but after rook g2, I think I'm all right. So queen takes h4, of course, Black has a pair of bishops and 2 pawns for this missing exchange, but I don't think it is enough in this particular case. But it was 100% much better than what Black did in the game. Yeah, so maybe it was the last chance to fight for something. Right, but Black's position was much better only a few moves ago, so a3 and a2 was not necessary. It was possible just to play this normally, I don't know, rook to b8 at some point, but not, of course, after g3 because of bishop f4. So maybe, I don't know, queen to the b file, just to exert some sort of pressure, and this b2 pawn, king h7 followed by bishop h6 at some point, maybe also was an interesting idea. Simple queen to e7 move, just intending to simplify a position a bit, was also an interesting idea. I don't know, there are a lot of different possibilities, of course, after I blundered this everything in the center, so it was so bad actually. Instead of b5 after knight e2, Black could have won simply after bishop f5. So I forgot that I can't really play my bishop here, so I thought, okay, I play knight e2, then if my rook is attacked, I play bishop d4, and everything is fine, right? But here, after bishop f5, I can't play my bishop e3 because queen takes e2. And yeah, Black wins at least the exchange. So knight e2 was so stupid, and I should have played something else. So almost everything was better than that, including bishop to g5, including even to bishop c1 move. It was still better than knight e2. Knight e2 was awful. Okay, well, take a look at rook e3, queen e3, and bishop h6. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So it was a bit later, right? So here takes knight e4, g3. Okay, rook takes e3, queen takes e3, bishop h6. So what? I don't understand. I can play just f4. I don't know. Yeah, I know that I weaken my position. I weaken my position, but I don't think it is so critical here. So yeah, knight goes to e4. Okay. But then probably just something like, I don't know, rook. Or maybe just something, by the way. Yeah, knight to e4 looks a bit annoying. Looks a bit annoying for white. Yeah, bishop h6 deserved attention. True. True. But much earlier, bishop f5 just won the game. So I think it was much better than this. Okay. And yeah, let's play. To the other guy, I think it would be the last game for today, and it will be rest in pieces. So let's do it. And I play with black. Okay. d4, knight f6. Knight f3, e6. e3. Okay, call this system. Yeah. Could be. Bishop e2. Okay, d5. Knight to c6. b3. Bishop d6 and queen to c7, let's say. Can I play just like white usually does in this sort of systems? I mean, cd4, ed4, and knight e4 with some sort of pressure on the position. I don't know. But let's play b6 first. I do believe it's okay. Just protecting everything everywhere. Oh, h2. h2 is now heading. Let's take it. I don't believe it's very bad. Oh, lost? Wow. Why? It was necessary to keep playing, of course, but yeah, it was a blunder, so cd4, just ed4 or something. Okay, so probably let's play one more. It was too quick. Too quick. Okay. So somebody else. Killer 05, 3 minutes. No, not for banter. Sorry. Okay, let's play Nick 2504. Except 5 minutes. E4. So this one will be definitely the last one, okay? And again, Sicilian, so this might be very dangerous because I'm not a big expert in this variation. But let's try it, okay? B5, yeah, one of the good ideas for black here. Okay, well, let's take here and play f4. Now let's play e5. Oh, I don't think that white achieved anything, But as I said before, it's probably not the main goal when you play Blitz. It's just better to have positions that you more or less understand and can play just sort of confidently, right? Okay, knight to e7, it goes to f5. Bishop e3 prior to anything else. Yeah, bishop e3, knight f5, and let's say bishop to f2. To prevent at least black's bishop c5. I think it makes sense. Knight to d4, well, well, well. Bishop to d3, let's say. Let's just try this, because bishop became very active. I think it will be sensible to get rid of it. So bishop to e4. I'm a bit better in the sense of having more space, and probably I'm a bit better developed. So let's try to use it somehow. So is it possible just to play for this sort of thing? So let's say I start with the bishop b7 move, and then I just take on d4. Can it be something? And then knight goes to the center. That's what I mean. Will this knight be better than the bishop or not? I'm not sure, but looks interesting. So I just want to try it. And now knight goes to e4. Double-edged decision, of course, because now black has quite a strong pawn on d4 in the sense of controlling space and giving d5 square for heavy pieces, so it might be very good for black. But at the same time, I have some perspectives on the king side, I guess. So we will see which factors are more important here. Okay, c2 is hanging, so I don't have a great choice here, so let's put the queen on e2. Simply protecting c2, that's the idea. Okay, at least I have a bit more time than my opponent. Okay, queen to c4, offering this queen's exchange, but I don't like the idea of exchanging queens here, so I will play this move, rook to d3. Of course, this leaves a2 pawn hanging, but I think I will have something to compensate it. Sort of attack there on the king side. So now what? c2 is hanging. Should I protect it or just forget about it and go to h5 or something? Queen h5, queen takes c2, and if rook h3, then queen takes c4, of course. Yeah, it looks very bad. So what should I do? Knight f6 check takes, doesn't really work. Okay. So let's play rook to f2, just protecting the pawn on c2. Or, yeah, now it becomes really, really dangerous for me to play this position. So what to do here? Rook to h3, check on b1. No, doesn't look like a promising position for me. Queen to h5, also queen b1 check, that's annoying. So maybe I will start with, let's say, this move, just protecting c2. And b2, I mean, yeah, b2 probably, more than c2. So I'm a pawn down, that's annoying, a bit. But I do believe I will have some chances, I don't know. Maybe even just playing something like g4 f5, that looks crazy and stupid, but maybe it will work. I don't know. Okay, now what? I have to be quite quick with my attack because Black is already thinking of very healthy play like a4 and then, yeah, I don't know, promotes or something like that. So maybe g4, a4 takes f5 is something. Okay, let's try it. I don't think it's correct, but at least let's try it. This creates a g2 square for my king. And yeah, the pawn structure is more or less designed for this breakthrough, but yeah, I might be very, very, very slow. Yeah. Okay, let's take it first. And now f5, my last chance, I think. Yeah, it was too slow. Oh, what is that? Rook to g2 or something? Was it? Yeah, rook to g2, okay. Rook to d1 now. What was that? That is sort of help, I don't know. Queen to g4. Now looks sort of promising, I don't know. Yeah, now I like my position actually. Yeah. It's kind of miscalculation, I think. And one more blunder. Now I should be winning. Check. Takes c4. Yeah, I was very lucky in this last game actually. So after f5, of course, I guess taking on f5 was just a help because it opened the g file. So black was very close here to win. I guess very calm a3 was the best decision here. I don't believe that after f6 I have anything serious, right? So let's say f6, okay, even takes on f6, even takes on f6. Yeah, even takes on f6, I don't know, knight takes f6, pawn takes f6, okay. Bishop to b4 maybe then. Or something, yeah. Everything was possible here, but taking on f5 and bishop h4 was completely wrong. Maybe even that was playable, but then black made several mistakes, even more, right? And lost the game with several blunders. And for me, probably something in the very beginning was much better to play than what I did. So, yeah, definitely. So here, b5, well, I don't remember what is the best reaction against b5. Maybe even this knight takes c6, but, well, it doesn't have anything serious here. I mean, yeah, here looks like black is completely okay. Black is completely okay. So bishop d3, c5, bishop e4, bishop e7. Rook d1. Yeah, everything is fine here for black. Queen c4. Maybe here rook d3 was just too much. I don't know. Queen takes c4, deserved attention, followed by b3, by the way. It was a positional way of playing this, just b3. Undermining that, making pawn d4 not that protected. And then probably in the future my knight could be even better than that bishop. This could be an interesting idea for me. But it should be still just completely playable for black, I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so thanks a lot for your attention today, for good games. By the way, I managed to win all the games, or what? What happens today? Yeah, it looks like that, because I'm still above 2900, so it means I didn't lose a lot of rating points, right? So everybody's except for non-premium members are welcome to the next training Tuesday. It will be on Tuesday, 7 p.m. European time zone, as usual. So during that show, I will discuss my last game from second Bundesliga. It will be the continuation of the topic about the power of knights, right? That we discussed during previous training Tuesday. And of course, I wish you all the best during this coming weekend. By the way, according to my time, it's already started, right? So all the best, take care, see you next week. Bye-bye.